Hey, welcome to another episode of Armchair CMOs. It's Vaughn Moss here with Julie. What's up, Jules?
Hey, Vaughn, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. It's going great. It's going great. How are you? You all right?
All the dogs upstairs freaking out because it's thunderstorming here, so that's been my Monday, but I'm all right.
A lot going
Um,
on. I mean, obviously, like this time of year is a lot going on, and we thought that we were gonna have like things slow down, but we talked about the NFL last week, which was crazy, but now we're gonna talk about like stuff that's actually happening like right now. So let's get right into it. First thing we're talking about is a little WNBA action. Um, Something that I saw this weekend that I thought was really cool is the WNBA being intentional about having some of their biggest stars go back to some of the campuses that made them stars in the first place, which is another chance to keep the momentum of excitement that these players have playing college basketball, but then also continuing to give more opportunities for people to see the game and see their favorite players at places who love. Like, I think that's the key point here is like they're going back to places like Iowa and Notre Dame where the women's basketball teams are good. And so, like, they know that there's a good fan base there of people who love women's basketball. So, overall, I think that's a really good tactic, a smart way to keep things fresh and make sure that you got good energy in the preseason, which is tough because preseason games for every other sport seems pretty irrelevant. So I think that's one unique thing that they're doing a really good job of. So kudos to them. Caitlin Clark had a good time going back to Iowa. I know the Notre Dame players had um, Dallas and the Aces played at Notre Dame, right? So like that's Enrique for Dallas, and then not Chelsea Gray, but the other Las Vegas Aces roster. Jackie Young. Yes. Okay.
um, Speaking of the Aces, Asia Wilson had a big week last week. I do think those games are really cool. That whole idea is cool. I would love to go like watch a player who, for example, went to my alma mater and that was in the WNBA. Um, but on the topic of Asia Wilson, her an ad for her shoe came out this week that took the internet by storm. I know it got like a lot of really positive feedback, and she was actually online on like Threads and maybe some other platforms, kind of like live tweeting the response to it, and like her response to the response. Um, Cool fact about the ad was that Malia Obama actually like helped direct part of it, I guess, which I thought like I think that's part of why it was like such big news this week. Um, but I saw this speaking of threads, I saw this thread by a woman, I'm assuming a woman named M. Johnson, um, who like, and I'm quoting here, said it was a masterclass in authentic storytelling, highlighting cultural significance and the importance of representation. Which I wanted to quote her directly on that because I feel like it was said better than I could have said it. It really was. There's so many little details that made it really authentic. Like an incredible storytelling, really like emotionally moving to the right audience. And it was just really unique because the vocals, like the little nursery rhyme that happened, um, took the place of any like narration or like words on the screen, and so it just felt very like nostalgic, right from the top. Um, but I want to talk about like a couple of the detail, like how detailed they got in like making sure that it was authentic to Asia Wilson, because I think this is part of what makes it so cool. So like she went online and confirmed herself that the in the church scene, um, the two photos on the wall are of her actual grandparents. One of the cheerleaders is wearing black AF1s, which is what she was wearing when she won her second WNBA championship. Um, there's like some calls to Columbia, South Carolina, which is where she's from, including like Dawn Staley. The cheerleaders were from a college in Columbia, an HBCU actually, which I thought you'd be excited about because I know you're excited when Howard was featured in a Nike ad a couple months ago. So it's like the second time an HBCU has been featured in a Nike ad lately. Um, So I don't know, like lots of tiny little touches. Like clearly the devil was in the details for this ad, but it went over well, it seems like.
Yeah, it's really dope. And I think that, like you mentioned, something that really takes it next level marketing branding in 2025 is the fact that she was on threads responding to people like who had questions or like
Thoughts.
thoughts
Right.
about it, things that they, when they found Easter eggs and they asked the question, like usually that's what you do. Like you ask the question in the void, but like to have the person actually answer you and confirm it is like a crazy level of community building and using social media in the right way that actually like takes it to the next level. So shout out to Nike, shout out to her. Overall, well done.
Agreed. The other thing that happened this weekend, which I don't know if you like paid any attention to, but it's like not, I wouldn't say like one of my favorites. Like it's not, I'm like looking ahead to it, but it's so unique that I think it's really cool. Was the Kentucky Derby happened on Saturday? Um, you didn't watch?
I did not watch, but again, like as I mentioned before on this podcast, like I'm now a full-time entrepreneur and I have like clients who need me to be places and stuff. So it's not at home for the Kentucky Derby, but I will say my mother and my older cousin and her husband went to some party in Richmond where it was a Derby themed party and they had a great time. So through osmosis, through association, I participated in the festivities and hoopla around the Kentucky Derby, but not directly.
I do love a derby party. My mom and I had my mom sports betting, like placing bets on horses. So that was fun. But anyway, the Derby is always cool. Um, this year specifically, there's a lot of really cool marketing stuff happening. So I kind of insisted we talk about this today because there's a lot to talk about. One thing in particular that I want to spend some time on was Woodford Reserve, the whiskey, was the presenting sponsor. So like they had this space above the gates where the horses line up, for example. They did an ad with Morgan Riddle, who I think we've talked about. She's Taylor Fritz's girlfriend, tennis player. And like she's an influencer, and so they did something with her. But the really cool thing that they did was actually leading up to the Derby, they did two events, which they called the Spirited Soiree Tour. They did an event in New York and LA, both kind of celebrating, like leading up to the Derby, like hyping for the Derby, but both kind of celebrating like Black fashion, which I felt like was a really good fit considering like A, they're a whiskey brand and like Kentucky and whiskey go together like peanut butter and jelly. Uh, and um, and then fashion and the Kentucky Derby go together just like that. Everyone like when you think of Kentucky Derby, you definitely think of the very unique fashion that you see. It's like a huge part of it. Um, and then I also thought it was really cool that they had these events uniquely celebrating like Black fashion because I think they were kind of capitalizing on this conversation that's been building leading up to the Met Gala today, which the theme is like Black contributions to fashion over time or something like that. I know I just slaughtered the name of the theme, but that's like the concept of the theme. Um, so like really cool tie-ins in a number of different ways, like between the whiskey and the fashion, and then leading into the Met Gala. Um, they also did one of those events was a collab with this. We've talked a little bit about this kind of like third space, third party type of like social media account where it's not a company, it's not a team, it's not a brand or like an individual person influencer. It's like just a page, like a social media page that has a following, where like you don't even necessarily know who's behind the account. And that account is called Black Menswear. So we've talked about this with the account Sunday Scaries. This seems like a kind of similar account. So we're definitely seeing a rise in the collaboration with this type of account, which is cool. But that also felt like a really smart collaboration, like partnership for this whole idea. Um, it's just a lot of really cool like alignment between what they were doing. It felt really smart. Like I know your favorite word is like authentic. It felt very authentic. But it felt like they were reaching the right audiences kind of all over the place. Like it didn't feel forced. I don't know, they used like both the momentum from the Met Gala, as well as like building excitement for their sponsorship before the event even happened, and then did additional activations like at the event. And we talk about that all the time too. Like it's in 2025, you can't just like slap your logo on an event. That's not enough. So they did a really good job kind of building out like a whole campaign for this.
Right. I mean, the one thing that just came to me talking about this, right? Especially when we're talking about authenticity. We did share the post about another event that happened this weekend that made me just think about comparing the two, right? So F1 in Miami
Mm.
seems like a similar type of event, but completely different like approach, right? Like I think the authenticity and the culture that you see in the Kentucky Derby because it's existed for however many years, like
151.
how many?
151,
Right.
which I know because they like list the year every year.
Yeah. So like the tradition of that shows up in different ways. And I think there's opportunities and hopefully the people who are responsible for making those decisions want brands to show up in the way that you just described for what like Woodford did because it's culturally relevant to the moment that we're in right now, but also like to what the Kentucky Derby is and what it means to so many different people, right? Because like I was like the idea that my mom cares about it as a you know older black woman and
In
that's
Virginia.
in
Yeah.
Virginia, right? Like I think all that the cultural aspects of it are completely different because F1 in Miami is strictly commerce. Like strictly about let's get as many VIPs and as many brands as possible. Like the thing that we talked about that we laughed about was this
Raising Cane.
celebrity filled Raising Cane's party, which was insane. DJ Khaled, let's hold on. I gotta find the video.
Feel like we have to go pull it up.
Do you have it? Can you pull
Uh,
it up on your phone?
yeah. Um,
I mean, the people at this
maybe
Raising
not. Was
Cane's
that to
party,
me?
I sent it to Armchairs, to the podcast Instagram, I think.
Okay.
The people at this party just seemed like it's so ridiculous, like that I just can't like just imagine that all these people are here to eat Raising Cane's chicken. Like it's just not like
So you sent it from your company page to me personally, but I found it. So Travis Scott, Emma Roberts, 50 Cent, Jamie Foxx, Orlando Bloom, Becky G, DJ Khaled, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, OBJ, Tyga,
like why is Tiger there?
Rich Coos, Victoria Monet.
Yeah.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, like that's completely different than Kentucky Derby because you'll get star power at the Kentucky Derby, but it's not like that. That's very much like let's get these PR like
Oh,
that's an episode of Entourage.
also get star power there, but it's not as like flashy. Like they go because they want to go, not to be like shown that they're there. Whereas like Miami F1 is way more, especially Miami F1 is way more of like a CNB scene type of event where like people will go to Kentucky Derby just because they want to go and it won't be to like
Right,
be seen there. um,
right.
yeah, those are two very different events. And it's actually, that's so interesting. Like, I think the brand of Kentucky Derby is so strong and the culture is so strong because it's been around for so long that like people know exactly what it is and they know how to align with it. F1 got big. Like, I mean, it's been around for a really long time, but I feel like it got big in the last 8 years or so. Like,
Yeah.
it started to have this like celebrity and like pop culture type of emphasis. So I feel like it's almost still trying to find its identity too. And right now it's just being used, like you said, for like very commercial reasons. Like everyone's just trying to tap into it somehow or another, but it doesn't feel quite as authentic.
So the Miami Grand Prix started in 2022.
Okay, well that one specifically is really young, but like how long has F1
I
been
think it
around?
has a lot to do with the difference, right? Like that's part of the conversation of why they're so vastly different. It's because one's been existed for 151 years, and one of them is in arguably one of the most superficial, fancy, classy, famous people town.
Not girl.
Huh?
Miami is not classy.
F1 is not classy?
No, Miami is not classy.
What do you mean?
Gone.
When's the last time you've been to Miami?
What?
Last time you've been to Miami?
Never. Miami is not classy.
All right, this we're
Miami
done.
is known to not be classy.
We're done. We're done. This conversation's over. Like I'm trying to be nice and show. All right. Besides the point, back to your earlier point. Really dope that I think it's really dope that whether it was intentional or not, the Woodford Reserve campaign collaboration and how it ties into what's happening right now in the Met Gala, I think is really important. Because of this and because of Jules, I've been watching the pre-show on Bravo for the last 2 hours. Um, and it's been dope to hear people. Obviously, like we talked about, the theme is how Black
Like,
people have inspired fashion and highlighting Black designers and what Black people have done for fashion over the years, and to hear people on the red carpet talk about how important that is in general, but how important it is to the moment that we're in right now as the history and certain cultural aspects of our country are kind of being eroded. I think that that's really dope. But this is a sports marketing podcast where we're talking about this because there's a lot of sports people there. I will let Jules get into the details, but I will say noticeably absent from tonight is my boy, my
you're king.
he's not I would never call him that, but my guy, LeBron James is not at the Met Gala, even though as we talked about episode maybe 3 or 4 when this was first announced, um he along with my other guy, Pharrell and Lewis Hamilton and Coleman Domingo, an actor, they are the co-chairs of the Met Gala this year. So LeBron not there because he apparently got hurt. His MCL, sprained his MCL in the last game of the series when they lost to the Timberwolves. And so he sent out a tweet this afternoon that he wasn't going to be there, which I thought was like crazy. Like the fact that LeBron James has to tweet that he's not going to the Met Gala is like just continues to show you how crazy LeBron's life and career is. But that's another conversation. Bottom line, LeBron is not there. Savannah is there. Savannah looked great. Happy that she was still there to represent the James family and this important moment for LeBron being involved in this in the first place. But tons of other sports stars there. Jules, who did we like? Who did we see?
Ooh, I haven't seen like a ton of the outfits actually. I've been trying to keep an eye, but I thought Saquon actually didn't look great. I saw his outfit. I think he was wearing Tom Brown, which is sad because like that had potential. Um, oh, Jalen Hurts, he always dresses like this, so of course he was gonna look great, but he looked like flawless. I did see Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens were there, and they both looked great. Simone also looked great at the Kentucky Derby, so she's just like crushing it this weekend. Um, Oh, I saw Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. They both look really good. Both the Venus sisters. I love that I'm just doing like a fashion review. Venus Williams are both the Venus sisters, both the Williams sisters. Venus, like hers, I feel like gave a nod to tennis too, which I really loved.
Hmm.
And then I like the way you'll never say anything bad about LeBron. I will never say anything bad about Serena. So she looked beautiful. So I did see a lot of people. But anyway, back, like you said, it's a sports marketing podcast. We'll go back to that. The reason that we wanted to talk about this was like, yes, like the number of athletes at the event every year has been growing, which like I think just speaks to the like cultural power that athletes have like in 2025. But also like both Lewis Hamilton and LeBron James being co-chairs in combination with that fact of how many athletes go, I feel like it like really properly acknowledges how much fashion is influenced by athletes, like our biggest stars. And I've been seeing this elsewhere too, like game day is a runway. Like all of the athletes have, every athlete has a stylist in 2025. Like what they're wearing and how they're presenting themselves matters. Like a lot of them have sponsorships that aren't even necessarily like you said, like another of your favorite terms, endemic brands. A lot of athletes are associated with brands like fashion houses, basically. So it's a kind of a nice recognition this year of like the cultural influence that athletes have beyond obviously like just the sport.
Yep.
It also feels like particularly relevant this year because so many of those athletes that I just named who are there, and including Lewis Hamilton and LeBron James, who are like two of the world's biggest stars, are also Black. So it feels like a good year to have them be like recognized and celebrated at this year's event for Black style.
Yep.
Um,
And it's also important to note, like, I think both I did catch interviews with both Anna Wintour and Pharrell, who both said that this has been planned since 2023. So like the timing of it being culturally relevant is an unintentional coincidence, but also like super fitting. But it is dope to know that this has been planned for a while and it's cool.
yeah, like it wasn't like it's not like
It's not a
it feels
response.
less, yeah, it feels less performative, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The one thing I will say is I was really hoping to see Coco Gauff here, who like I know they're in the middle of their season, so it's hard. She has not gone. She's been invited before apparently and can never go because she's like preparing for tournaments. But um, she just announced her collab with Miu Miu, or like they did like in the last week or two, who obviously is like a high fashion brand. And so I was really hoping to see Coco on the red carpet wearing Miu Miu because that would have been like a really great opportunity to promote that collab. But she's not there this year once again. Um, I don't know. I love the Met Gala anyway, but very cool to see like the integration of sports this year.
Yeah, I mean it's dope. Like again, we always talk about the moment that I mean we've been doing this podcast for maybe not quite a year, but like we've been talking about it and the women's basketball wave is not losing momentum and they keep popping up in ways and inserting themselves into places and spaces and conversations that they might not have been in as prominently. And like they are at the Met Gala. All of I love that the fact that the WNBA champions got Jonquil Jones, Sabrina, and Brianna Stewart there. Like that's a big deal. And you know, the NIL piece and still women's basketball part of that conversation too is to have Flau'jae there. Like that's a big deal. She's still in college at LSU. Like, has that ever been done before? Probably not, right? But like I think that just speaks to the craziness of NIL, but also the power of women's basketball, what they're doing right now, women's sports in general, but specifically women's basketball is having continuing to take advantage of the moment on the biggest stages.
I want to say too, like it's a nod, like having on Devin Slayer and having athletes on the board basically for it is like a nod to how significant sports are to like impacting culture, but the reverse is also true. Like the Met Gala is also benefiting by having all of these athletes on the red carpet and like on the board because they're like also pulling in additional audiences and like awareness of like those people's fans. I think they do this pretty intentionally. They try to kind of pull people from all over. Um, which I bring that up because I want to quickly pivot back to Kentucky Derby because I feel like they did something similar. And the reason I thought of this is because Simone Biles has just been all over this weekend, both at Kentucky Derby and Met Gala. Um, because she did like they had her announce like do the big announcement of like when the horses all come out for the big actual race, like the main Kentucky Derby event, and like the walk around the thing. So like, she did that announcement, and they used like her kind of uh, notoriety to potentially like build a bridge to some additional audiences. So I don't know, like just both of these kind of institutions of like the Kentucky Derby and the Met Gala are also using like the fame of and the following of the athletes to their advantage as well.
So before we go, kudos to you, Jules. Great insight on all those things. Indeed,
Thanks.
you did a great job. Like, great job. But before we leave, we have to talk about the NBA playoffs, which I haven't been watching because I was watching that Gala. Knicks and Celtics are in overtime right now, and the Knicks are winning, which is crazy. Um,
Do you care who wins?
I do. I do not want the Celtics to win at all. And I have one of my best friends is a Knicks fan. Like we went to playoff game at MSG last year. But bringing it back to our sports marketing podcast, I thought it was going to be super interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the ratings go. We lost. Like when we talk about you talk about because you watched the show, the Gold Show on Netflix, right? The
Wonderful.
three OGs. Only one of them is left, and I thought he was going to get eliminated yesterday, but he survived. And the question I have from a marketing standpoint that I want to ask you as a very lukewarm NBA fan, is it better for the league to have the OG can like one OG remain, or would you rather have seen the young upstart hungry Rockets face young, hungry, popular Anthony Edwards? That means that would have been none of the OGs would have been have a chance to play in the finals. Only young blood. I mean, except for, you got Joker, but Joker's not that young. And so is Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum and those guys are in a different level. They're like in between these new kids and the OGs. So they're not quite like, but that's my question to you. What do you think? Do you think the NBA would have preferred to have Steph move on or have completely new blood?
Don't you know that the NBA is scripted? So clearly they preferred to have Steph move on. I'm kidding. I don't think the NBA is scripted, but I do think that they probably would have preferred Steph move on. I actually think that they're getting, that's a good question. And it's an interesting question. I think they're getting a little bit of the best of both worlds because they do have one of the OGs who's still gonna like pull the ratings, um, somebody who might like someone like me who might be deciding whether or not to watch a game because they don't like have a team. It's probably more likely to turn on a game if Steph's playing or like one of those guys is playing. So I think it's good for their sake, but like this Knicks Celtics matchup is good for the opposite scenario of like the young, hungry, like younger guys or guys who are still kind of trying to like prove their legacy. Like Jason Tatum has MVP and championship, but like he's won and he didn't play at all during the Olympics. Like I feel like he's probably still trying to prove something. And we've got the Nova Knicks this year, like a lot of young guys on that team who, and like they just won their first playoff game in how long earlier this year, right?
Who, the Knicks?
The Knicks.
No, they won series last year.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, well,
See, I told
people,
you. Look at you. Lukewarm,
I
lukewarm.
know you're right. I'm right. You're right. Well, I don't follow the Knicks at all, but you're right. I didn't know that. But like I feel like I mean, like the point of that was like the Knicks were not good for a long time. So I feel like, and now with like some younger guys who like are making the that team be kind of promising, like you're getting that young blood competition
Yep.
in the Eastern Conference.
I mean,
Uh,
my last point
so
to wrap it up is my points to wrap it up is this. One, the Rockets, like if it's scripted, it makes sense because the Rockets, they're young and they're exciting, but there's nobody on the team that's like a star that's people like the best player is the kid Şengün, who's a European player that people know is good, but no one like really knows him. So he's not good for the ratings. But then you've got, and I'm only talking about the West right now. Then you've got this matchup between the Warriors and the Wolves, which is Ant getting another chance to knock off one of the OGs that he played with on the Olympic team. Took out KD last year, took out LeBron last round this year, and now he's got a chance to get Steph. On the other side of it, Jimmy Butler played for the Timberwolves for like a year or two, maybe, and it did not end well, just like it hasn't ended well in a lot of places, but that's another conversation. But there's beef, there's energy there that he'll probably get booed when they go to Target Center. This is gonna be interesting. So like there's a lot, there's storylines. And yeah, I'm excited. Like I'm rooting for oh, the last point I was gonna make. I'm sorry. My brain's all over the place. But I think if it is scripted, obviously, the script makes sense. If you're not gonna get Luca versus Luca and Lakers versus the Mavs in the playoffs, then just get them out. Like just get Luca and LeBron out. Just get them out. let LeBron go, rest his knees, and go. I mean, sucks he got hurt because he handled the Met Gala because like that would have made perfect sense. Yes, to be done playing so we can go to the Met Gala.
No, I still don't understand that. Go in a scooter, a wheelchair. Like what? I'm confused. Anyway.
I mean, now that I say that, like, what if they had a game today?
What?
So like now that I just said that, like, what if they did play? What if they won and they had a game today?
I think he probably would have played. He probably wouldn't have gone.
Right. Interesting.
Maybe he just didn't have an outfit. Maybe he was so convinced he was playing, he didn't have an outfit. And that's why he's not there today.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Leave that.
That's my conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Knicks won, by the way.
I know I was watching, not watching, but I had the score up.
Crazy. I'll text my
I
boy.
don't know. I don't. You said you don't want the Celtics.
I don't want the Celtics to win.
Maybe I do want the Celtics just to piss you off.
I to me, the ultimately worst NBA finals this year, it would be the Celtics and the Nuggets. Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible.
So,
The Celtics and the Nuggets would be terrible.
maybe I want
I
maybe I do want this. I mean, I don't really care. I think I'm fine with either. I kind of like both teams, but I like don't follow the Knicks at all. Like I said, I do. I think Jaylen Brown is like one of the most interesting players in the NBA right now because of like everything he's got going for him off the court. So maybe I want the
take
Celtics.
that back. I take that back. Celtics, I could get away with the Celtics, and I don't want the Pacers to win. The Pacers would be worse than the Celtics. Give me the Celtics. Give me the Celtics
Like
and Golden State
like a
rematch.
Pacers Nuggets.
That would be horrible. Oh my
That
God.
would be terrible.
Oh my
I
God.
just don't think we want the Nuggets.
No, I don't want the. I would love to have Knicks and I'd love to have Knicks and Wolves. That's the peak ratings matchup. I think the best like entertaining series of basketball would probably be the Celtics and OKC. Um,
Wait, I think oh I yeah, I kind of want to see OKC.
because Cleveland is good and I like Cleveland a lot, but Cleveland is Darius Garland, the point guard for Cleveland, is hurt. So I don't know if or when he's coming back. So
I think broadly, maybe not for ratings, but for like establishing some of these younger guys as the new faces of the league, like it's good that all the OGs are losing.
yeah,
Like even like Giannis. Like I actually think it's even
yeah,
good that like Giannis isn't it? Like
yeah,
it'll be good because like I feel like some new names will emerge
yeah,
as like household names kind of.
yeah.
So
We'll see. All right. Great talk.
all right. Talk to you next week.
All right, bye.